All right, guys, Shotty T here. This is 7.1.2. Sorry, the video is upside down to start, but apparently when it recorded, everything was upside down, so I decided to flip it for this particular fight. The other two boss fights were normal. I didn't have to flip those, but for some reason, this one recorded upside down. So this fight here, you got Matador, so you have to bait. Only way you can build power is by baiting his specials. Also, the block penetration is an issue. There are a lot of annoying things about this fight. Of course, you got the Matador, you got the block penetration. Like pretty much every time you block, your block proficiency goes down, and of course, he goes unstoppable sometimes when you try to block. Also, he has this little thing where if you knock him down, and he has those things active, you're going to take a lot of damage. The only way you don't take damage is if you apply a disorient, a concussion, or some other type of debuff. So that's the reason why I use Nick Fury. We're just going to be spamming SP1 all fight, so that way when I knock him down, I don't get penalized for it. Because, so it's probably a more effective, quicker way to fight him, but this is the philosophy I chose as far as the best chance to one-shot him. Like, so I'm pretty sure there could have been some other options potentially to one-shot the guy. But this is the one I came up with. Maybe Quake could have done this fight. Like I said, I don't know if she bypasses that shield node or not. I know if you apply debuffs to the opponent, they can still take damage. So maybe her aftershock counts as energy damage against it. I'll have to test that, see, because I never actually tried it. So that's why I didn't bring Quake for the fight. I just wanted a more guaranteed one shot with Nick Fury. So all we're doing here was just keeping him in the corner. Of course, you don't want to intercept him, so you want to make sure you hit into his block when he's blocking. Otherwise, you don't want him to just intercept you, because you're not going to be able to retaliate because he has that unstoppable charge. So just hit into the block, bait heavy and specials, and win the game. That's all we're doing. Just bait his SP1, so you can throw your special. He's pushing me back now. But the thing about the SP1, it pushes the opponent back pretty good. So he's back in the corner. And now I'm unblockable. Got a little period of unblockable there. And the bleeds are still doing their work, so. Yeah, the first time I fought him, this fight probably took me a couple of revives. Like when I did my first at point completion run. But just because I wasn't prepared enough to bring the appropriate counter, didn't understand the node enough. Because I think what I did, I brought Venom for this fight the first time. Essentially, I just didn't throw specials the whole fight and just relied on the bleeds. But then I just got impatient. I thought knocking him down with an SP3 would cancel out that thing, but apparently it didn't, so I died with that. And then the second time I fought him, I just took too much block. I blocked too much, and he actually caught me on the intercept. It's because it is tricky. Because sometimes you have an aggressive AI where it's hard to have them hold block. But I don't believe this is aggressive. But it just depends on the fight, really, if they're going to be aggressive and not hold block as much. Now, occasionally I do decide to parry, but it's risky if you're a medium-sized champ or smaller. Of course, he has a chance to go unblockable even against XL champs, but it's not as great it increases the smaller size of your champ. But as you can see, this is like I said, it's like Act 6 really prepares you, and the Abyss as well prepares you to have these long fights, because a lot of these fights you're just not gonna just blitz through with Corvus or Omega Red or the high damage champ, because these health pools are just nothing to play with. Now this is a 5-star champ, so I don't get the added bonus of the passive Fury, unfortunately. I decided to finish him off in style there, because it didn't matter if I knocked him down at that point. Plus, I still was in my first life. So that's the first boss of this sub chapter. So now we're at the second one. This is Venom. This one's pretty straightforward. We're gonna use Claire here. Now the thing about this node, if the opponent has an armor up active and you're hitting into them, you have a chance to bleed. But we're just gonna stay in this mode with Claire the whole fight. And that's the most challenging aspect of this node, really. If he has an armor active, you can bleed. But just gonna use Claire, gonna lifesteal, get our health, and we're just gonna prevent him from gaining buffs most of the fight. Or if he does get them, we're gonna nullify them pretty quickly with our mystic charges. And we're just being. I'm not sure if this node had. Okay, yeah, I wasn't. I guess I was just playing, showing off by not parrying him there. But yeah, this probably one of the easier boss fights in all of Act 7.1. So I mean, but it can be tricky. I mean, some Venom has sometimes he's stubborn throwing his SP1, and of course his SP2 is kind of tough to evade 100%. It can be done though. It's not too difficult, and plus he has an aggressive AI that comes at you. Now, if you didn't see me implement the style that you can use against him when he's charging at you. Whenever he does his dash and medium, you can dex back and light counter with pretty much anyone. I didn't really do that much in this fight, but that's something that can be done if you're ever caught in a pinch. So just so you guys know. But yeah, this nothing special about this fight really. We're gonna try to intercept him with a special. There we go. I could have went to an SP3, but I wanted to keep rinsing those SP1s there. I mean not the SP1s, the SP2s. I'm not gonna push him to an SP2 himself. This is another 3-minute plus fight. And again, even with a 6-star champ, these fights can take some time. Just have to have patience, really. I mean, that's gonna be the theme of a lot of these boss fights. So not a lot of these fights are gonna be pretty quick. Less than 2 minutes. So it might be 1 if I'm not mistaken. But we'll have to go back and look at the tape. But you'll see it when I commentate it anyway. Just doing these in parts. It's on a Christmas morning. Now my day will get started pretty heavily in a couple of hours, so see if I can get one more of these videos in before I start my day. Because the war is over, by the way. We just finished the war as far as our battle group. I mean, the war overall is still ongoing. It's like 5 hours left. But we wanted to make sure we finished in more than enough time so everyone can get a chance to enjoy time with their family. So here we go. Just almost got him down. And there we go. So that was another about 4-minute fight there. So this is the last sub boss. And now we're going to turn the tables to let Venom be the attacker. So the thing about this particular fight, it's not much to it node wise. And actually, I didn't use Venom. I thought I did. Um, so basically, don't get hit by specials because if you are inflicted with a weakness debuff, I think you get dealt some energy damage while you're attacking. It's a similar node like that in Act 6. I think 6.3. It's a path like that, and it's like long distance relationships. So it's like you're gonna have weakness. So it's kind of an annoying path. It requires one of those boosters, or if you have a champ that shrugs off debuffs pretty reliably. But if you don't, then you have to use one of those boosters that helps with that, where you're not having that weakness debuff on you very much. But I believe I used Quake for that for that path anyway, so it really didn't matter. But in case you don't have Quake, you have to kind of plan accordingly. Yeah, so this fight is really that's all I'm doing. As you can see, there's nothing debilitating about this. It's our node difficulty, and it wasn't just don't get hit by a special really. As you can see, with Cap being at SIG 112, I'm more and more reliably getting his debuffs to pop up when I parry the opponent. I think it's like 77% now based off my current SIG. So the more SIG stones I get, the more reliably I can apply those debuffs and make the most out of his abilities. So I believe one of the things about this node, now that I remember, is that, of course, I have an increased combat rate. So now I have that weakness. I gotta be careful. It's not to attack. Just gonna wait it out. I got willpower to heal off of it. If it's a special to get hit by, the SB1 is the one. But you gotta be careful though. If his awaken ability does apply super bomb, has a chance to where not only you just get that weakness, but you can also get inflicted with the poison. But luckily with Cap, he can glance a lot of that stuff, where he may not have all of them applied to him. So, but you have to keep your fight bar with, if you're once you're above 75% of your whole bar, it depletes to 0. So that's the reason why you don't see me go close to SB3. Pretty much not too far after above 2 bars of power, you gotta throw a special. If you gain any more power, you're just going to lose it. So use it or lose it, basically. And as you can see, I lost it. I went too far above 75%. So that's probably the only thing annoying about it. But if you got a champ that doesn't really rely too much on specials, you're pretty good here. But if you can just get right above that 2 bar threshold and take advantage of it there, they got a hard hitting SB2. But SB3s are not allowed in this fight. So champs that rely on that for their ability, you won't be able to use that. And of course the opponent loses only a half bar of power. Their special attacks cost 50% less. So there are a lot of specials you can throw this fight. For some reason, Cap did not throw his special. Cause you saw he was just squatting there. So I was making an input, but he wasn't moving. So that was kind of annoying there. I should have finished that fight, and that just threw everything off. Cause I was basically looking away from the screen at that point, thinking that the input was put in there. So now we just gotta finish this fight with Venom. So yeah, that should have been a one shot. But anyway, that's 7.2.